Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about IB course selection. More specifically about tips that I can give you as a second year IB student, as someone who's gone through the first year and kind of experienced the consequences of my course selection to hopefully help you better understand and make the right choices that you won't regret. So this video is kind of going to be in like a vlog format because I don't really have the time to sit down and record everything all at once because I do have school today. So I'm gonna be recording in between classes, during lunch, during break, after school, here and there. So if you guys want to follow along with my day and also know about IB course selection tips, you can stick around. I also have timestamps in the description so you can skip around if you don't have a lot of time. So I just got out of my first period. I have about a 10-minute break before I go to the next. So I want to talk to you about my first tip that I have. So first of all, the courses that I take are Econ HL, Math HL, Physics HL, Chem SL, English A SL, and Indonesian AB Initio. So basically, I started off the year with 4 HLs because I was advised to do so by my university counselor. Her rationale behind it was that I should really, try out things and then opt out if I really need to. Now I know what you might be thinking, that 4 HLs sound like hell, but the reason why this is kind of a strategic choice in a way is it really maximizes your chances to score well in your final exam because you kind of get to taste the class before you actually commit to it. So what happened to me was I was having a hard time deciding between whether I wanted to take Chemistry HL or Econ HL because I knew that Chemistry HL and Physics HL at the same time would be a very big burden. But then again, I also kind of knew that Econ wasn't a subject that I was familiar with at all, and I was a little afraid to take HL. So I was going in between Chemistry HL and Econ HL. But what I ended up doing was I just started off the year with 4 HLs. I wasn't planning to finish with 4 HLs because that doesn't bring any benefits, or at least in my school it doesn't. So what I did was I spent about a semester or maybe half a semester, I can't remember for sure, but I just trialed with Chemistry HL and Econ HL and just found out which suited me more. So in the end, I eventually realized that Chemistry HL was going to be a bit difficult for me because I was having a hard time applying the theory that I learned into the problems that I needed to solve. And so I consulted with my teacher and asked if there's going to be a lot more calculation coming up in the other HL topics. And he did advise me that it was going to be hard if I found it difficult. On the other hand, when I was thinking about the econ assessments, the questions seemed a lot more manageable. My idea was that as long as I practiced it enough, I'll be able to get it down by the day of the final exam. So I thought taking Econ HL would be a lot more beneficial to me than it was to take Chemistry HL. And obviously it doesn't always come down to just the assessments. Maybe you need to think about your career path or your university choices. But starting off the year with 4 HLs kind of gives you a bit of wiggle room, and unless you're really, really, really worried about the subject, it won't affect your GPA too much because it's only taking a taste for like half a semester. So if you're about to go into the IB and you're a little confused or in the between 2 different subjects, then seriously consider taking 4 HLs. You can start off the year with 4 HLs and drop out of any of the HL that you don't like before the start of the new semester or before your grades can really affect your GPA too much. So that was the first tip. Try out 4 HLs. That's what I did. It worked out for me, and that's what a lot of my classmates did, and it worked out for them. So maybe you should give it a try if you are confused between which class to take. Right now I'm going to go to my second period, and I'll see you on the break. I guess this is more of a necessity than a tip, but really consider what major you're trying to go to and what university you're trying to go to. And that kind of boils down to the career path that you want to choose in the future. Of course, nothing can be solid at this point, but you're gonna have to make a choice with your courses. And if you're gonna make a choice, you better make it appealing to the major and the university that you want to go to. I take Math AHL and Physics HL, which are arguably the 2 most difficult classes in the diploma program, but I do it because it's going to appeal to my mechanical engineering field that I'm planning to go into. And I wouldn't be taking the courses that I'm taking right now if I wanted to go into a business econ major. I would be taking Business Management HL, Econ HL, and Math AI HL. So the choices definitely depend on your career path and your major. So if you have not done that, you have to. No matter what anyone else tells you, you have to have an idea of a major that you want to go to, because you're going to choose your classes and it's going to be really hard to change classes. It's going to be super difficult, and for most cases it's not even going to be an option. So make sure you know what major you're going to and choose accordingly. If you need help, you can always leave it in the comments below. I will try and cater the classes that you want to take. But just remember that the classes that really matter are going to be your HLs. The rest, you want to choose more strategically. I guess that leads into my next tip, but I'm gonna go to class first and then I'll catch you guys later during break. So this brings me to the third tip that I had of strategizing with your classes. So the way you can kind of approach this is you hold on to your HLs, but all the other subjects, choose the subjects that will give you the highest grades. Those 4 subjects are like my core subjects. But then my other 2 classes for languages, English A, SL, I have Indonesian AB Initio. And so the reason why I chose AB Initio instead of a BSL language course is because it's a lot more strategic, and because I was able to do so, I get to take the exam in November and get basically 5 periods worth of free periods that I could use to work on my other HL classes, and it's just a lot more strategic. AB Initio is a lot easier to score high on your exam, plus it finishes early so that you can focus on your other classes when exam time comes around. So I guess you gotta strategize in terms of how successful you will be in the end. And so even though my teachers advised me to take Indonesian B, I decided to take Indonesian AB Initio because obviously it'd be more strategic. The same with Econ HL. The reason why I chose to stick with Econ than chemistry was because I knew that I could score higher on Econ than I will with chemistry. So when you're selecting your courses, make sure it's strategic and that it's going to help you score high in the long run. So the key here is choose your important HLs and then strategize for the rest of the classes in terms of how high you will score in your final exam. Alright, so the last thing I want to stress about course selection is look at your uni requirements. And I know everyone tells you this, your university advisor, your teachers, everyone will say research the university you want to go to. If you're anything like me, a lazy student, I didn't do that. I didn't really do my research on how to apply, what the unis were looking for in terms of grades, whether they looked at GPA or my final IB grade, whether they care if I take certain subjects like math or physics. And so my grade 10 self was like, okay, I'm going to go into the engineering field somehow, some way. So I'm going to study math and physics. It was simple enough. The reason why I chose chem in the first place was because, okay, well, maybe it'll help me in the future. And then I realized that for the unis that I'm applying for, the only requirement is the final IB grade, or the predicted IB grade, the total grade, and not the subject-specific grades. In other words, my uni didn't even look at the subjects that I chose. So in the end, it didn't even matter what subjects that I took. Now, of course, when the unis have a 40 and a 40 student, they would probably look at which subjects they took. If I'd be taking math SL and physics SL, if I'm not even taking physics at all, chances are the uni would probably choose the one that took math AHL. But my point here is this, look, if your uni doesn't require certain classes, or if certain classes aren't really a requirement, don't even think about taking them. There's a huge misconception about people thinking that, okay, I need to go into this field, so I need this subject. But in reality, that's not really true, and certain unis don't even ask for requirements in terms of which subjects you take. A lot of people in my class wanted to go into the engineering field, hence the big number of students in the Math AAHL class. As time went by though, people did their research and they realized Math AAHL is not specifically noted as a requirement in their unis. So they ended up dropping to AIHL, which was a lot more manageable for them, and it was more strategic for them to score a high score. So I know you might be lazy, but if you have a couple unis that you want to go to, search on their website and see if they have any requirements. It seems like a big burden. Like, if you take your time, 20 minutes is all that's gonna take you. You're not really looking for everything that you have to know about the uni, but you're just looking for whether or not they have requirements regarding the subject choices that you take. Okay, so those are the 4 things that I mainly learned throughout my first year of IB about my course selection, and I think as long as you stick to these 4 tips, you're not going to regret your course selection, or not as much as I would have. If this video helped you, make sure to give it a like. I make videos on life as an IB student, So if you'd like to check out more videos like this, then you can always subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.